friends. You have experienced meditation with Yogic Transmission over the last few days or the last few sessions. Yogic Transmission is something that really must be felt in order to be understood. We are already familiar with basic idea of transmission. For example, sound, radio waves, speech, heat, etc. So with yogic transmission, what is transmitted, by whom, how and why? What is the nature of transmission? All spiritual movements say God is everywhere, He is omnipresent. He must also be within us. How many have experienced the reality of such a statement? Air is also everywhere, yet we do not generally feel its presence until there is a breeze. Transmission is like that breeze which awakens us to the subtle presence of something essential to our existence, the godly essence. In Sanskrit, transmission is known as pranahuti. This word pranahuti is a combination of two Sanskrit root words, prana and ahuti. Prana is the essence of the essence, the life of life, or what is known in the ancient Kannada Upanishad as the pranasya pranaha, prana of prana. The second root word is ahuti, means sacrifice or the offering. The very ideal that we cherish in our heart offers itself to us. To receive transmission is to receive the essence of the source itself. This offering is made to the thirsting hearts. We experience transmission when a trainer directs this flow towards our heart. The transmission does not originate with the trainer in the same way that when you sit in front of a fan, the air does not originate with the fan. It is a natural outpouring from the source itself, and the trainer is merely a part of this process, like the fan. Look at it in another way. Just as the air is everywhere, sunlight is also everywhere, but when it is focused through a convex lens, like the lens of a magnifying glass, its effects become very intense. Mind of the trainer is like a convex lens because it focuses the essence of the original source upon the heart of the aspirant. The main effect of yogic transmission is to illuminate the consciousness. Various levels of consciousness and the layers of them, expanding through them. This is one way of understanding spiritual growth, how consciousness expands at each level. In yogic approach, you must have heard about chakras, plexuses. Traditionally speaking, we have 7 chakras. Heartfulness goes much more in details, of which we will talk later through our series on spiritual anatomy. This transmission, when it touches each plexus, it has different impact, different result, depending upon the basic nature of each plexus. Coming back to soul, physical body, and the subtle bodies. We have 3 major categories, three major categories of bodies. The outer manifestation of the physical body. The source of it all is the soul that keeps it going. Something between the soul and the physical realm is the subtle body. Within this subtle body, there are four subtle bodies. Now, when we talk of evolution, what is it that is truly evolving? Can soul evolve? Something which is so pure, something which is the ultimate purity, can it evolve? Soul is immutable. It cannot. It cannot evolve because that level of purity cannot change. It is the ultimate purity. At a physical level, can we evolve to the desired level of, let us say, flying like an eagle or swimming like dolphins? It's not possible. Physically, it may take millions of years to evolve our body to its perfection. But in between these two, physical and realms of the soul, there are these four subtle bodies. In Sanskrit, they are known as Chit, Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankar. These four words, Manas meaning mind. The second, Ahankar, which is ego. Third, Chit, which is consciousness. Fourth, meaning Buddhi means intellect. Now, these four bodies, don't take them into the same sequence as I have spoken. But it is the consciousness which works like a canvas. On this canvas of consciousness or Chit, there's a play of three bodies which goes on changing the painting on the canvas of consciousness. These three players are Manas, mind, intellect, and ego. Depending upon the evolution of these three, the fourth entity, consciousness, changes its very nature. Ego is like a great gravitational pull within. It keeps you bound to itself. But when ego is sublimated, it becomes universal. And to that extent, the consciousness also will change. It will expand. When I no longer think, but I evolve to a level where feelings predominate, absolutely. That is the evolution of the mind, which moves from thinking to feeling. Likewise, intellect, which no longer is restricted to its very, mundane activity, but it transforms itself to intelligence, wisdom, intuition. And when all these three are at its pinnacle, at its highest, consciousness will also expand to that extent. So all these things finds their true expression because of the yogic transmission. Yogic transmission is something which penetrates all these subtler levels of Chit, Manas, Buddhi, and Ahankar, and does a magical thing in nourishing our very existence at a spiritual level. To me, this transmission is something like a cane or a wheelchair or the lift that we use in high-rise buildings. You can walk if you like. You can go on walking the steps and go to the 100th floor of your building. But wouldn't it be nice if you can take a lift? Yogic transmission is like that. When you cannot walk and you take help of a cane, it becomes easier and more comfortable to work with. Likewise, when we traverse within various layers of consciousness, when I close my eyes and try to meditate and try to go deeper within the consciousness or fly higher in a state of superconsciousness, it becomes easier on its own without transmission. Flying higher into a state of superconsciousness or going deeper into subconsciousness is difficult. So transmission works like a magic. That's why I said earlier that to feel its impact, to experience its impact, will help us understand better in an experiential way. Words fail. I think I'm not able to describe in totality the very nature of transmission. It is like, a person who has never eaten croissant, for example, or apple, and you go on describing, croissant is made from this wheat flour, or this apple, it grows on the tree and it tastes so sweet. But person who has never tasted it, he'll go on imagining things, but never will have the true meaning, true understanding of these two. Only when you have croissant in your hand and you relish it, that makes all the difference. So with this transmission too, no amount of description from my side is going to make you even more intelligent with transmission. The simple act of receiving this transmission with open heart, that yes, let me experience this transmission, what it is all about. If you like to experience this very transmission, just simply download this app, Let's Meditate, to experience this transmission in the privacy of your own house, privacy of your own bedroom. Download this particular app called Let's Meditate and connect to a trainer. These trainers will be ever ready to help you experience this yogic transmission at any time, at any place of your choice. These trainers are there worldwide. We have thousands, more than 10,000 trainers throughout the world. And we have so many hot spots where we can go to and meditate with such trainers. It is free of cost. No charges are expected to be paid. These sessions are very practical in nature. There is not much of bombarding of lectures the way we are doing now. But it's mainly experiential. The trainer will say, okay, let's meditate. The person would close his eyes, you close your eyes, and then you feel, that's all. You can download this Let's Meditate app, where thousands of trainers are waiting worldwide. You may be in Washington, D.C., and at 2 a.m. in the morning you felt that, okay, I like to meditate with transmission. There is no trainer who may be awake in the United States at that time. But when you make a request, somebody might be awake in Europe or in Japan and say, okay, there is a request from Washington, D.C. for meditation with transmission. So that trainer would sit with you remotely, meditate with you, and transmit. Is it simple enough? So having experienced this meditation at least once, I would seriously recommend you to undergo many such sessions, minimum 3 to start with. And after such sessions, you decide whether to continue with it or not. To have the full impact of it, actually, one needs to practice for longer than that, in such a way that, yes, it becomes our lifestyle one day. During these introductory sessions, 3-4 introductory sessions, a lot of work which is done upon the individual who is seeking such a training. This work is done through this transmission. In fact, the very highest spiritual state is infused on day one. But it comes in a seed form. It is nourished daily by our individual practice of meditation and by repeated exposure to yogic transmission. It is always helpful to have follow-up sessions for which you can either use the app or meet our trainers in person at various retreat centers and local hotspot locations worldwide. Such a spiritual service is free. My guide used to say, God is not for sale. If he did have a price and if you could afford to pay it, then why would you need him? Isn't it? If ever anybody asks you to pay for a spiritual service of any kind, please ask them this question. Now let's get ready for relaxation and followed by meditation.